When can I apply for asylum? Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States. I have our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. Today, I have two helpers here watching my video, helping me get my studio up and running in the new space. It's my son, Ismail, and our friend, Justin. And in the video, I'm talking about asylum. And I know Ismail doesn't know a lot about asylum, so I'm going to explain it to him as if he had never heard the concept before. Now, sitting around our dinner table, he's heard more immigration talk than most people on Earth. But when it comes to asylum, it's not something that he probably knows a lot about, so this video is for him. Now, when you apply for asylum, you are saying that you fear going back home to your home country, that you are going to be persecuted if you return to your home country. And it can't just be, oh, times are tough in my home country, or, oh, it's going to be hard for me to find a job if I have to go back home, or it can't even be, I really like America a whole lot more than I do my home country. Those are not the proper bases for asylum. You only apply for asylum if you fear persecution when you go back home. And it has to be real persecution. It has to be someone is going to kill me, or someone is going to threaten me, or someone is going to throw me in jail or torture me. These are the kinds of activities that asylum protects against. Now, the United States has agreed to take in refugees and people from around the world who fear persecution in their home country. Refugees are people outside the United States who want to come. Asylum is for people who are inside the United States and fear going back home. And that persecution can't just be because you look funny, or it can't just be because they don't like you. It has to be because of a protected class. Your race, your religion, your membership in a particular social group, your nationality, or your political opinion. These are the kinds of situations in which asylum applies, and asylum would protect you. It has to be based on one of those categories, and it has to be imminent. It can't be, oh, it might sort of happen to me, I'm a little bit worried about it. It has to be, if I land back home in my home country, someone's going to grab me pretty much right away, throw me in jail, and start doing really bad things to me. Now, the question often comes up, and the point of this video is to talk about, when do you have to apply for asylum? Well, you should apply for asylum as soon as possible, but generally the rule is that you have to apply within 1 year of your last arrival. So if you entered the United States on June 5th, 2016, then you would need to have applied for asylum by June 5th, 2017. Here's the thing. There are some exceptions, but you can't rely on these exceptions. You need to get that asylum case on file. Now, I would say that if you came to the United States on a non-immigrant visa, say a B1 or B2, you probably want to apply for that asylum case before your authorized stay is up. If it's at all possible, you want to file it in those first 6 months of your visit. Even though you can apply 1 year after entry, you probably want to do it in those first 6 months. And the reason for that is that in certain circumstances, if you later apply for a different kind of immigration benefit, that fact that you applied for asylum while you were still in status can serve as a bridge between your status as a visitor into the status that you want to get. Let's say that there's been a change of circumstances in your home country. This is the kind of situation where you're in the United States and you've been here for a while. Let's say you came as an international student, and let's say you entered the United States 3.5 years ago. Well, if you wanted to apply for asylum, you probably should have done it when you first arrived, or within, like I said, those 365 days. But if you haven't, you might be forgiven for two reasons as an international student. One is, if you've maintained your status throughout your time in the United States, then oftentimes an asylum officer will forgive you for not applying within those first 12 months. Now, that's discretionary. You can't rely on it. And again, you want to apply as soon as possible and within those 12 months if you can. But there is an exception that's allowed if you can show that you've maintained valid status the entire time and that you only applied for asylum when it was time to go back, basically. The other thing that you need to keep in mind when it comes to asylum is that if there's been a change in circumstances in your home country, that would also allow you to be forgiven for not applying within the 1 year. So let's say that you have a mother who's very high up in the government of your home country. And let's say that she's part of a minority group, but they had obtained power in the country at that time. And while you're here in the United States, there's a coup or a change in government, and now the enemy or the opposite part of the government is in charge, and they don't like your mother, and they don't like you, and they don't like people of your tribe or your nationality or your background, and there's now people being rounded up, people that look like you, people that have your political opinion, whatever the basis of the asylum is, that things have changed in the home country. Then you can use that as a reason for not having applied within the 1 year. So, in summary, if you want to apply for asylum, you should do it right away. If you want to apply for asylum, you should do it within 1 year of arrival. There are some exceptions, like if you've maintained your status, or if there's been a fundamental change in circumstances that make it so that you can't go home now when you might have been able to go back before. Now, the one last thing I want to say about asylum is that once you make a claim for asylum, you're basically telling the federal government that if you return home, bad things are going to happen to you and you can't ever go home. So sometimes people will apply for asylum and then they'll end up getting a green card through some other way, and then they'll call my show and they'll say, Jim, can I go back home now that I've gotten lawful permanent resident status through another way? And my answer to that is, well, when you applied for asylum, you swore under oath, you signed a form and you went to the asylum office and you said, if I go back home, bad things are going to happen to me. But now that you have this green card, you're suddenly safe to go back to your home country. I think it's really risky. So we often encourage people to really think through whether they want to apply for asylum at all, because if you do, you're sort of sealing off your fate and preventing yourself from being able to go back safely without having to worry whether or not you're going to be allowed back in the United States or whether they might try to revoke your asylum at some future date. If you're thinking about applying for asylum, we love working on these cases. They're very fact intensive. We think that we do a really good job from an advocacy standpoint putting cases together. Asylum cases are very fact heavy, and they take a lot of evidence, and we like working on these cases. Some of our attorneys, my wife in particular, and some of the other attorneys in the office really like working on these asylum cases, so we'd be happy to help you. Just give us a call at 314-961-8200. You can email us info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. Be sure to join us in our Facebook group. It's called Immigrant Home. We'd love to answer any questions you have in there, or on my Immigration Answer Show, which you can subscribe to on our YouTube channel, and that way you get updated whenever we make one of those shows or shoot a new video just like this one. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.